For question number 21, we have the limit as x goes to pi of sine of pi minus x over pi minus x. Now, essentially what's happening is if we plug it in, we're going to end up with sine of pi minus pi is 0 over pi minus pi is 0. So we're going to end up with sine of 0 over 0, and the limit of that is going to be 1. Okay, so this really is the same as, we can interpret this really as equivalent to the limit as x goes to 0 of sine x over x, because we end up with the same result. We end up with 0 sine 0 over sine 0, or so sine 0 over 0. Now we can actually generalize this and just say, well, the limit as x goes to some point a, if we generate a 0 in the sine and the 0 in the denominator, this is always going to give us the same limit of 1. Question number 39. Number 39 is the limit as x goes to 0 of the square root of 3 plus arctan 1 over x. Now, this is, we can just kind of think about this and just look at the 1 over x, and as a two-sided limit, because it's going to 0, we know that 1 over x goes to positive infinity on one side and negative infinity on the other side. Therefore, as a two-sided limit, it doesn't exist, so the correct answer is E. Okay, so we have our 1 over x function. There is no limit at 0. However, we should maybe take a closer look at this and hypothesize, what if it was a one-sided limit? Okay, if it's a one-sided limit, so for example, if we did the limit as x approaches 0 from the positive side, well, that would be going to positive infinity for 1 over x. And then we could see what happens as we plug infinity into the arctan function. Okay, so this 1 over x inside here is going to go to infinity. Well, that means that as we go to infinity on the arctan function, so I've drawn in green here the arctan function, as we go to infinity on the arctan function, it's tending towards that asymptote of 90 degrees or pi over 2. Okay, so as we get infinite slope, we're approaching the angle or the arctan of 90 degrees, which is vertical. So if we take a look at from the positive side, okay, if we're looking at this from the positive side, we know that we're going to end up with 3 plus arctan of 1 over infinity, or arctan infinity, which is pi over 2, so we would end up with C if that was the case. And then we also have a similar argument if we did this, the limit from the negative side, because it does have a one-sided limit. If we look at it approaching 0 from the negative side, that 1 over x now is going to go to negative infinity, because we're heading down from the negative side. And that means that we're doing the arctan of negative infinity, so we're heading out that way. And as we approach negative infinity, we're going to approach the arctan value of negative pi over 2. And so the limit would end up being this one here. Okay, so for heading to negative infinity, we'd end up with B. Positive infinity, we'd end up with C. But because the 1 over x does not have a two-sided limit, we say that the limit does not exist for 1 over x. And so the answer for this 39 would be E.